There is a brown bottle sitting in almost every bathroom cabinet in the world. It costs about $1. Most people reach for it once, when they scrape a knee, and then forget it exists for the next 2 years. But that same cheap little bottle can pull a dying plant back from the edge, wake up seeds that refuse to sprout, and wipe out the tiny pests eating your garden from below the soil. And here is the strange part. Almost everyone who tries it uses it completely wrong. So before you pour a single drop, let me show you what this stuff actually does. Because the popular idea about it is backwards. Most people treat hydrogen peroxide like a plant vitamin. They imagine it as some kind of miracle fuel you feed your plants to make them explode with growth. That is not what it is. Hydrogen peroxide is not food, and it is not fertilizer. It is water with one extra oxygen atom bolted on, and that extra atom is desperate to break free. The moment the liquid touches soil, a root, or a leaf, it starts falling apart into two things: plain water and pure oxygen. That fizzing you see is not a gimmick. That fizz is the entire point. It is oxygen being released exactly where your plant needs it, at the exact second it is released. And here is a detail that makes the whole thing click. Hydrogen peroxide is not some strange chemical foreign to nature. It forms naturally in rainwater, in tiny trace amounts, every time a storm rolls through. It is one of the quiet reasons your plants often look greener and happier after a real rain than after weeks of the same tap water. When you use it correctly, you are not doing something unnatural to your garden. You are copying, in a controlled way, something the sky already does for free. Once you understand that, all three benefits stop looking like magic and start looking like simple chemistry. Let's get into them. The first benefit is the one that saves plants people have already given up on: root rescue. Picture a plant you loved that started drooping for no reason. The leaves yellow, the stem goes soft, and when you finally tip it out of the pot, the roots are dark, mushy, and they smell sour. That is root rot. And here is the truth almost nobody tells you. Root rot is not really a disease of too much water. It is a disease of too little oxygen. When soil stays soaked, the air pockets flood, the roots suffocate, and in that airless mud, water mold pathogens with names like Pythium and Phytophthora take over and start eating the roots alive. This is exactly the situation hydrogen peroxide was built for. Pour a properly diluted solution over those roots, and two things happen at once. The reactive oxygen tears into the soft cell walls of those anaerobic pathogens and oxidizes them, while the breakdown floods the drowning root zone with the one thing it was starving for: oxygen. Here is how you actually do it. Use ordinary 3% hydrogen peroxide, the standard brown bottle strength. For a rescue soak, mix roughly 1 part peroxide to 3 or 4 parts water, gently rinse the old soil off the roots, and let them sit in that solution for just a few minutes. You'll see it fizz over the damaged areas. Rinse, then repot into fresh, well-draining soil. There is also a lighter version of this for prevention. If a plant simply feels like the soil stays wet too long, you can add a small splash, about 1 tablespoon of 3% peroxide to a full watering can, and water as normal every so often. The soil will fizz, oxygen releases into the packed dirt, and it buys your roots some breathing room while you fix the drainage. Now the honest part, because you deserve it. This will not bring rotted roots back to life. Anything already black and slimy is gone. What this does is stop the spread and give the firm, healthy roots a fighting chance. And here is the caveat most videos skip. Peroxide does not only kill the bad microbes, it hits the good ones too. So this is a rescue tool, not a weekly habit. The real cure for root rot is fixing the watering that caused it. The second benefit happens before your plant even exists. It wakes up stubborn seeds. We have all done it. You plant a tray of seeds, you water faithfully, and half of them just never come up. Old seeds, hard-shelled seeds, and seeds with a tough coat are famous for this. And this is where a quick peroxide soak becomes almost unfair. That extra oxygen atom does 3 jobs at once. It gently softens and weakens the hard seed coat so water and air can finally get inside. It sterilizes the surface, killing the fungus that causes damping off, that heartbreaking moment when a seedling sprouts and then keels over dead, and it floods the waking embryo with oxygen right when it needs energy most. This is not folklore. In one study published in the journal Hort Science, aged corn seeds soaked in a peroxide solution germinated at nearly 95% compared to about 67% for seeds soaked in plain water. In separate research on pea seeds, a dilute peroxide priming pushed germination up to around 75%, while the plain water batch limped in near 15. To do it at home, keep it gentle. A common approach is 1 teaspoon of 3% peroxide in a cup of water and let the seeds soak for a few hours up to overnight before planting. And here is the rule that protects you. With seeds, dose is everything. The lab studies used stronger, carefully controlled concentrations. Too strong at home and you don't prime the seed, you burn the embryo and kill it outright. When in doubt, go weaker. A weak soak helps, a strong one destroys. The third benefit turns that brown bottle into pest control, and it targets the enemies you can barely see. If you grow anything in pots, you know fungus gnats, those tiny black flies that rise in a cloud every time you water. The flies themselves are just annoying. The real damage is underground, where their larvae live in the top 2 to 3 inches of soil, chewing on tender young roots, and that is their fatal weakness. Those larvae are soft-bodied and completely exposed, right where a soil drench can reach them. Mix 1 part 3% peroxide to 4 parts water and water your plant with it until it drains from the bottom. That final strength is gentle on the plant, but the oxidative burst is instantly lethal to the soft larvae on contact. Extension programs, including Cornell's cooperative extension, keep landing on that same 1:4 ratio. But listen carefully, because this is where people fail and declare it useless. Peroxide kills the larvae. It does not kill the eggs. New eggs keep hatching every few days. So a single treatment guarantees the gnats come right back. You have to repeat the drench at every watering for 2 to 3 weeks to catch each new wave until the cycle is broken. That same oxidizing power works above ground too, on the white, dusty film of powdery mildew. A light foliar spray, roughly 4 tablespoons of 3% peroxide in 4 cups of water, oxidizes the fungus on contact. But I'll be straight with you, this one is real but limited. Always spot test 1 leaf first and wait a few days, because sensitive plants like begonias, orchids, and African violets can scorch. And peroxide treats mildew, it doesn't prevent it. Good airflow does far more than any spray. So there they are, rescuing suffocated roots, waking stubborn seeds, and hunting the pests you can't see. 3 real benefits, all from the same dollar bottle. But everything, all of it, comes down to one rule. Concentration is everything. Only ever use the household 3% kind. That industrial 35% so-called food-grade peroxide is a completely different animal that can burn your skin and torch your plants in seconds. And never treat this as a daily feeding. It is not a fertilizer, it is a scalpel. You reach for it to solve a specific problem, then you put it back. Which brings us back to that brown bottle in the cabinet. It was never a plant vitamin, it was never a growth potion. It's an emergency kit, sitting there quietly, waiting for the exact moment your garden actually needs rescuing. Now you know when that moment is, and exactly what to do.